What's going on, everybody? Zachary Smith here. First and foremost, before we dive into this, if you could do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a like, hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss a single piece of content that I'm putting out over here as we lead up to the NFL draft. And leave me a comment. Let me know how you feel about the video, anything you've seen in the past, anything you want to see in the future, all that good stuff. But today we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel, but what I hope to kind of make something going forward. And we're going to take a look at Julius Brents, some film on him from his game versus Alabama last year. Julius Brents, a 6'3", 198-pound corner out of Kansas State, fourth in RAS since that started being tracked in 1987. Out of all corners to come out. So a 9.9 RAS score. I think something to note too before we dive into this, 3-3-5 is what Kansas State's base defense has kind of been since they switched to that in 2021, which oddly enough, same year Julius Brents got there after transferring from Iowa. So you're going to see him do a lot of different stuff. I didn't really know what to expect when I dove into him. I liked him at the beginning of the process. I've really kind of fallen in love with him. He's kind of become one of my guys. I think he's going to finish right around CB5 for me, which in this class, that is, a heck of a statement in my opinion, because this is as good of a draft class and as deep as a draft class for corners as I can remember in some time. When I looked at this draft class, primarily I looked at the corners, I looked at the tight ends, and I looked at the edge rushers, and that's where the strength of this draft class is. So for Julius to kind of be one of my top guys at that position, a very strong position, I think that's pretty telling. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to see what Julius Brents has to offer, especially stacked up against an Alabama offense where you're taking a step up in the level of competition. I mean, playing in the Big 12, a lot of people are going to question that level of competition. Not a lot of good Big 12 defenses and not a lot of Big 12 corners that have been successful at the next level. So going against Alabama here, potentially pick 1-1 and Bryce Young. How did he fare? Now, I will say Alabama's wide receiving core, not as good as it's been in past years. But still, I think this is probably a good indication of where Julius Brents is, and it's like a good benchmark, if you will, for where he is as a prospect. So I'm going to be going away, and let's dive into this. So yeah, first play, as I kind of mentioned, Kansas State, since they switched to this 3-3-5, and actually here you can see just, a couple down linemen. Play number one is a run, and Julius right away shows you he's willing to get in there and mix it up. He takes on a pulling guard here, kind of frees up another defender to be able to make the play on Gibbs, which, by the way, just side note, watching this game back on tape, Gibbs popped off. Like, I'm just sitting here trying to just focus on Julius Brents, but Gibbs is trying to steal my attention away every time he touches the ball, really. So really like him as a player, too. But yeah, Kansas State really likes to play him kind of around the line of scrimmage. I mean, you see here kind of in a linebacker role almost, the way that they're using him and lining him up. You can see kind of communication, getting set. Bryce Young makes a check. Here he actually gets beat. It's one of the maybe, 2-3 times in this entire game where I watched him and he's getting beat. But he's got the recovery speed. Bryce doesn't, see the guy right away. Kansas State does a good job kind of forcing him off of his spot and making him make an off-platform throw, which Bryce isn't able to do in this situation. But, had he seen him earlier, had he been able to get the throw off, Julius is probably beat here. So one of the very few plays in this game where you're going to see that happen, in my opinion. And just, kind of running it back here, showing us what we got at the line of scrimmage. There it is. And also something you're going to see pretty much after every play is Julius likes to talk. Definitely like the competitive spirit and fire which he plays with. I think it's one of the things that makes him him. Don't want him to change. So, yeah, he plays with fire for sure. Here, I mean, off-ball coverage. He's given a lot of cushion here. Bryce has to get rid of the ball pretty quickly. He's trying to beat him early, and Julius not letting that happen. The receiver could probably do a better job selling the route here. But, yeah, I mean, you're not getting away with that against a guy that's going to play on Sundays in Julius Brents. So he just didn't have anything to offer him there. Okay, a little bit of pinched in here, not playing, out on the boundary. But this is another one where he run to the opposite side. He's not really involved in the play, but you can see he's still aware. He's recognizing what the play is, and he's taking a route to where the ball carrier could go in the event that, yeah, it does break loose. I actually really like this formation from Alabama, and it's, again, something where Gibbs is kind of jumping off the screen at you, even though you're not, like, watching him. That's just, I mean, that's a miss. That's a miss from Bryce right there. Not that Julius was the guy beat on this, but that's six. That should be six for Bryce, and I think in most situations, it is. Um, yeah, not a whole lot going on with Julius on this play, um, but that's one that Bryce would like to have back there. Julius top of the screen here, press coverage, and he got beat on the slant a little bit there. Bryce goes to the other receiver, which was very close to him, kind of running like a bunch there. The quick passing game stuff is really what Bryce excelled at most, and that's against anybody. But I mean, I think as we go through and watch this game, you're going to see it more than any other case. Top of the screen, Julius giving a little bit of cushion here. It's a run play though. He's just kind of backing off. Obviously, him and the receiver kind of going at it there as he gets his hands up a little high into the face mask. I think we got to be aware of the situations too. Just keep that in mind, especially as we get later into this game where Alabama kind of ran away with it. Look at where he moves around here. He ends up being in the slot, stride for stride with a receiver. He can make up ground so easily. Longer guy at 6'3". Really great wingspan too. I mean, this is just a guy that it's hard to get away from him. He's a sticky guy in coverage. This is a great rep from him right here. And Bryce really doesn't have anywhere to go. That's a coverage sack. I mean, granted, they did make him move around a lot back there, but Bryce, had a little bit of time, just nowhere to go with the football. A lot of cushion on this one that just throwing it underneath. Julius is the first guy to the football on this one. But yeah, just playing a ton of cushion here. Again, taking into consideration the circumstance here. They're giving up a ton of ground, just don't want to get beat deep on this play. Bryce just taking what he can, and Julius is there on the football. And again, no problem talking to the guys after the play. Top of the screen here. Kind of gets, picked. Pretty good rubber out there. Not able to make the completion. Kansas State did a lot of really good, at least early in this game. They did a nice job with communicating and passing off coverage. Two guys around the football there, which is good considering, again, like that was a pretty good pick play by Alabama to free up a guy at first, but the recovery speed was there. Press coverage here. He's fluid for a guy that at his size. He's a fluid guy. I think he's comfortable backpedaling. You watch some guys like Keely Ringo, and like, I don't know that he can't do it. It's just he never puts himself in a position really where he wants to be doing that. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, Gibbs comes across basically the entire formation here to make this play, and it's not Julius's guy, but Julius's guy does like set a pick as soon as Gibbs catches this ball to free him up. He kind of like takes on two guys in the process. Look at that. I mean, that's good design right there, and a great job of recognition that's available to them. Julius spent a lot of time in this game too covering tight ends, um, as you're going to see or have seen or are going to see throughout. There he is again, kind of playing around the line of scrimmage, taking on an offensive lineman. He's not around the football on that. I don't want to say he completely gets washed out on that one, but obviously, mismatch with the guard taking him. Really nothing doing on this one in terms of, the assignment or anything like that. He called something out. They ran the opposite direction. Is this the Alabama touchdown? I think this this might be, I mean, top of the screen for Julius. His guy isn't the one that, yeah. I mean, Bryce just extends the play, steps up in the pocket, fires a strike to the back of the end zone. Not Julius's guy that scores it. I really nothing that he could have done on that one. That's just Bryce being Bryce. I mean, good time initially. He steps up in the pocket, keeps his eyes down the field as he always does, and just throws a strike to the back of the end zone. Yeah, I mean, not much to make of this one either. As this gets deeper into the game, which we're not at the point where it's like totally, I mean, where we're out of it yet. But when Alabama kind of runs away with this game, and they're just icing the clock, running the ball. There's not a lot of reps on here to make up from Joe. That's where it becomes fun to see like how he mixes it up in the run game. Top of your screen there, a lot of cushion, and Alabama runs the ball away from him anyway. Um, yeah. Bottom of your screen, Julius here. And again, they run away from him. It seems, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you'll see just like Alabama go in the opposite direction. Even though this is a corner, like a corner that wants to get involved, chop it up in the run game, Alabama going the opposite direction of them. And you're seeing what I was talking about with how interesting his usage is. Like, I didn't know that I expected to see a guy, play around the line of scrimmage as a corner as much as I saw him. They definitely were taking advantage of his size. This is an insane, you might not notice it right there, but this RPO drop in the bucket from Bryce, maybe his best throw of this game. RPO stuff is kind of his bread and butter, but this throw to with a free, like with a defender in his face, just dropping it right in the bucket. That's not on Julius, so you might not have noticed it right away, but what a dot. Bottom of screen, Alabama's running at this point, trying to put 6 on the board. Kind of the same situation here. I think they go with a little pick, maybe. Not quick pass for a touchdown from Alabama. Um, Again, this is kind of their bread, but they got to be on. They got to keep them honest. That could be a run play. Putting the ball in Bryce's hand. They did this a ton. When they didn't have, the same set of playmakers at Alabama that they've had in the past, they put the ball just in Bryce's hands so much more often and just relied on him to be that playmaker that he is. He's to be top of your screen here. Run play. This was, yeah, Gibbs. This is again where he just kind of pops off the page at you, regardless of who you're watching. You end up, your eyes go towards him. That's why he's, probably RB2 in this class. He is for me. He probably is for a lot of people, and that's behind, Bijan, who's just ridiculous. Most classes, Gibbs is, probably at least a 1B. He's top of your screen. Bryce doesn't even look that direction. He's going to attack the other side of the field, the other corner, the other members of that secondary. I don't know how many times in this game Julius was targeted, but it wasn't often. We are going to get to one at some point where there's a touchdown, which, there's always talk with the players like not knowing. We don't know what the assignment was on this, but it was definitely a busted coverage by somebody on this touchdown. That I don't remember if it's third quarter or fourth, but bottom of your screen here. The receiver gets a little bit of separation there, but I think he did a good job with his hands and fighting through it. Stayed with him relatively well. Bryce could have had an easy completion, maybe picked up 4 or 5 yards or something on that. But again, he doesn't give you much. Bryce fires a strike. Tight ends were a big part of this game for sure. And I don't know if that was honestly, I don't know that I've watched Alabama film enough to know. This was not again, their strongest receiver group. So they probably had to rely on those guys a lot more. Bottom of the screen here is Brents. That receiver had nothing for him. That's why he had to attack the other guy. But if you look at that, back on Julius, just the receiver had no answers for him there. He tried to sell him something, and Julius was not having it. Didn't bite whatsoever. Play goes underneath. Julius stays with this guy well, tries to run a post. Might have tried to hit him with a double move because he started going back up the field. There's Gibbs again. They should just hand him the ball every play in this game. But Julius is actually the first guy to the ball carrier. You'd like to see him probably cleanly make that play. Gibbs gets another 2-3 yards after the fact, after the first initial point of contact. But the play recognition was there. Oh, is this the touchdown? Yep, that's the one. So Julius obviously the closest defender on that. I actually want to take this back a second if we can. This could be after this play, but you'll notice there's a slight hesitation from Julius on this, as it seems like he doesn't know what the safety's going to do. So that's again where it comes down to, like, obviously somebody busts coverage on this, but is it his guy? Is it his assignment? Should he have been the one there? You see just that slight hesitation is just enough for Bryce to be able to drop that ball in. And you can see that receiver kind of sell it. And that's where it's like, that layering where you're having that guy work underneath and then the deep guy, the whole objective, that underneath guy isn't supposed to ever get that football, but he makes those guys commit to him as if there's a chance that he could. And then that guy's able to burn them deep. And it confused somebody on that one, whether it was Julius or whoever the safety is on that play, not able to get to it in time. Here he is almost again, working as like an outside linebacker. And look, Alabama on the ground. This is, you can see now it's starting to get out of hand. But he's working right at the line of scrimmage, right off the edge. Still, getting his nose dirty at this point in the game, trying to make plays around the football, which I think you really have to like when you get it, when the game starts getting out of hand and you still have guys that want to compete, that's where they're really going to be tested. Also, in 2022, he allowed just a 57.7 passer rating. So, yeah. again, like going through this, I'm sure you guys have noticed it too. He wasn't targeted a whole lot in this game. So you're really just looking at, okay, why wasn't he targeted? And you can see he's winning his one-on-ones a lot. Does a good job to kind of fight through that offensive lineman there to at least be, make contact with the ball carrier and let other guys get there to kind of finish the play off. Bottom of the screen has to move across formation entirely here. He's chasing him, but it's a run play anyway. Just kind of has to be honest, keep him honest about it. It's a good job stuffing the run overall by that defense. You can see the score pretty well out of reach at this point, but Julius is at the bottom of the screen here. They do throw the football. And yeah, not Julius's guy that makes the play. Kind of a crossing pattern, the two guys coming and crossing underneath each other. And yeah, Julius kind of ends up being the deep guy there. Bottom of your screen, backpedaling, giving some cushion. It's a run play. Bottom of your screen. Do we get another pass? Hey. Maybe. Bryce just fighting for his life on that one. Just two down linemen, three guys rushing overall. Great rep on the outside. Is that, yeah, Felix Anadike Uzoma, who's going to go, probably maybe late round one even. If not, he's definitely going some point in round two. Ton of cushion on this one. And doesn't even throw to that side of the field. He had more. I don't know why Bryce just tucks and runs, but it seemed like he had more time there to kind of keep his eyes down the field and make something else happen. Actually did a decent job that time, collapsing the pocket, not giving Bryce much. I mean, I will say I love Bryce, but obviously with the size limitations, as dirty as you can make that pocket, as ugly as you can make things within that pocket, that's when he's going to struggle. Just naturally. I mean, there's nothing that he can do about it. But yeah, almost like a secondary blitz with that off-ball linebacker coming in. Joey's playing at the top of your screen. It wasn't even in the picture at the beginning of this. And of course, they do not go to his side. Really, there's a lot of reps that it's like, I don't even know what to say about it because, like, literally nothing is happening. Like, there's not even a threat of the ball going to that area. So, how do you even diagnose what he did on the play? And maybe that's where it'd be more beneficial to not do, a full game cut up, and just take certain plays where he is highlighted in a big part of it. But I wanted to get the full picture, what he is in the pass game, what he is in the run game. Is he finding work even when there's not work to be had? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for from him. Still only the third quarter. It's a 22-point game at this point. He's bottom of the screen here, playing press. Does a good job initially forcing the guy to the that's 6. That's a house call. Does a good job initially forcing his man to the boundary, but the guy does a nice job, working his way up the field. Obviously, Bryce decides to go somewhere else with the ball, and then just great yak ability. He's bottom of the screen here, as you can see. Again, almost playing in like an off-ball linebacker position. Kansas State loved doing this with him. I mean, it jumped off the page immediately to me the way that they wanted to utilize him kind of around the line of scrimmage. I guess take advantage of his size and the way that he can kind of mix it up and get involved in the run game as a corner. That willingness, I think, is what is really going to be appealing to teams. Obviously, like it's an easy thing. Why wouldn't teams covet a guy that can also give you something in the run game? But that's not always the case. I mean, if you're drafting a guy, like I wouldn't be drafting Christian Gonzalez, right? Who's my cornerback one, and saying, okay, this guy's going to give me a ton in stopping the run. Like it's not. You're not going to do that. So, but when you draft Julius Brents, he's a guy that I think gives you that versatility to say, hey, this is what we saw you do at Kansas State. We're going to be using you in this kind of like hybrid role. And so it jumped off the page to me because I think that just really adds to his versatility and what would make him so attractive, and why I think he's a top 40 pick. Running opposite side of the field. Yeah. At this point, Alabama just kind of salting the clock away. Might have been an injury on that play. Julius is at the bottom here, given a ton of cushion. Alabama still throwing the ball, tipped. Didn't have to cover for very long, but that hey, he didn't get burnt. Shout out to him. I think that's something too, is just like at that length with his wingspan, his recovery speed, he's always in the play. He's able to remain in the play. Even if he might get beat by a step or two, he's in the area. He's got good recovery speed. He's a sticky guy. All right, and that does it. So Julius Brents, the cornerback out of Kansas State, who I've absolutely fallen in love with throughout this process. Like I said, I like him going in the top 40. He's probably going to finish as my CB5. If he went round one, I might be a little bit surprised by it, but I wouldn't hate the value of it. I'm hoping you guys may or may not have seen a little bit of that. I'm a Steelers fan and a Pittsburgh fan. Some Pittsburgh stuff going on in the background you might have seen in the past. Would love if he was pick 32 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he would come to be great. But anyways, that's Julius Brents. We're going to take a look at some other guys throughout the process too here, as we got about 2 weeks until draft day. Some other content coming your guys' way as well. Still trying to work through those team-by-team 4-round mock drafts I've been doing, but this was something different. I was really excited to get this rolling. So let me know how you feel about it. Leave me a like, hit that notification bell. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And comment down below what you would like to see in the future, how you felt about this video, all that good stuff and more. Until next time, we'll talk to you. Bye-bye.